Hey everybody and welcome to Geeksvana Live. Again, this has to be a record for my channel being live twice in a day. The reason I'm live twice and bothering your Friday evenings, it will become obvious very, very soon. So say hello to a few people in the chat for joining us. Chris Hope, hello sir, good to see you. Elsmeghead, Andy, hello. Michael Blade, Drone Flight, hi. Mike B, good to see you sir. All the usual crowd in here as well. Billy George Price Strickland, hi. He's new to being a drone operator. Welcome to the drone world, sir. Thanks for joining us this evening as well. Mike Drennan, great to see you, sir. I know you're happy to make it to a live drone news session, so interesting one. Okay, so as I said, this is our second time that we've actually been live to talk about the DJI story today, and that isn't because we're here to bore you senseless, but it's more that I like to try and ensure that things that appear on Geeksvana are accurate. I like to try and ensure that things are really giving a proportional and correct type of impression of the story itself. Certainly the our last live stream was completely accurate with the information at hand, and I still don't have any major issues with anything. However, I wanted to come live again and replace that video with this one to give more information about some of the other facts which are coming out around this story of the DJI ban. Now, let's hop straight over and have a look at how some of the media have been reporting this. So earlier on today, the reports were very much focusing on breaking news. US government bans DJI over ties to Chinese government. As you can see here, The Verge with a link to what was their article, of course. Now that has since changed. They have adapted, which is good to see as well. And as you can see, there's a couple of notices here to say that they've updated their article. I am still cautiously pessimistic about what's happening here, but we'll break this down step by step. First of all, for those of you that didn't know, DJI has today been placed on the entity list. Which is basically means that there is a Commerce Department block on allowing US companies to export to DJI, to export to that Chinese company. But it's a little bit more than that, because it isn't just physically, saying, oh, I've got some computer chips here that you guys want to use. It is a little bit more than that. The Bureau of Industry and Security, the US Department of Commerce, are who handle the entity list. And it basically outlines that, as I say, there cannot be any kind of free flow between the US technology side of things and China and the Chinese companies, or any company, any foreign company. It can be an individual company, it can be an educational institution, it can be a government, not agency, but a government-funded company. And the idea behind it is that it's either you either have to have an issue with their foreign policy, or that to be some kind of a threat to the states, basically. And in this instance, they're citing humanitarian reasons, which I won't get into specifically, but that's the reason here. Perhaps I would wonder whether they're stating humanitarian reasons because that's harder to overturn for the next administration, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. So really what we're looking at here is an issue where the technology of US companies cannot be used by DJI. It's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen in terms of the things like the app stores, so Google Play and Apple. That to me is going to be an interesting one, because of course Huawei, that was one of the issues that they had. It does also, of course, depend on how DJI respond to this. Now there have been some updated stories, so let's bring you a few of those now. So The Verge, the US government adds DJI to Commerce Blacklist. So they've changed their title from the DJI ban to Commerce Blacklist over ties to the Chinese government. Again, they pretty much state exactly what they were stating before. They now cite Drone DJ as being the company that first reported the news, which was confirmed by Reuters, based on a conference call with a senior commerce official. The ban was put in place through the same mechanism as the US government's ongoing ban on Huawei products, and is primarily focused on blocking the export of US tech to the drone maker. Obviously, we're not aware of too much US tech inside a DJI drone. I'm sure there's some, but they could probably outsource that to somebody else. As such, the ban will make it difficult for US businesses to provide parts or components to DJI to use its drones, which is likely to disrupt the company's supply chain. Now, this is the part that we're still waiting for clarification on, because it may also make it difficult for US stores to directly sell DJI products or transact with the company, particularly because when again this type of this type of block, this type of ban that getting on the entity list gives you isn't just a physical item ban. It is about technologies, and it's to stop those technologies. The argument behind it is to stop those technologies being used by the Chinese military and that whoever that foreign entity is that they've put on the list. So yes, so it is there is a complexity here. There is an issue. There are many issues which we're going to have to work through as and when to see how the Chinese government responds, to see how DJI respond to this. But certainly it would appear the DJI direct route is going to remain fairly unaffected. But again, I don't want to say one thing and have to correct it tomorrow, because this is a moving story. And at the moment, I can certainly tell you that most of the people that I'm speaking to on this expect it to have some form of retail implications within the US. But we'll have to wait and see what happens on that. So yes, so they also they have again confirmed that the precise filing which places DJI in the entity list alleges the company has enabled wide-scale human rights abuses within China through abusive genetic collection and analysis of high technology surveillance, so using their drones to collect data which has then harmed people's human rights. This presumably is a reference to DJI's role in providing the Chinese government with such data. So this is obviously very specific filings, which within any entity listing has to happen, basically. So we're going to have to wait and see as far as how things actually work out. On the Reuters updated story, we've got here where again they're saying US adds Chinese drone company to DJI economic blacklist. Apologies for the adverts flashing across there. So China's DJI company, the world's largest drone maker, on Friday was added to the government's economic blacklist along with dozens of other Chinese companies, because of course SMIC have been put on there as well, who I think it's going to be quite a big problem for personally. The Commerce Department added that DJI, AGCU, Xinchen, China National Scientific Instruments, etc., were there because of the human rights side of things. So they're not saying this is a security issue. I know we've had a long-standing issue here where, is the app secure? Does it download other apps? That type of thing. But that isn't what they're specifically putting this ban into place over. So again, it obviously confirms that in January, the US Interior Department, as we all well know, said it was grounding its fleet of about 800 Chinese-made drones, and earlier halted additional Interior Department purchases of such drones. So we're seeing a very slight mood change in the language used. I think the first story I noticed where the language was starting to change was actually the BBC article, which talked about this. Now, one of the nice balanced articles that I do like about this one is our friend Hayu over at Drone XL, where again he states that the Commerce Department has added DJI to its economic blacklist. So the world's largest drone maker, DJI, has been put on the economic blacklist, officially known as the Entity List, by the US Commerce Department. The news was made public during a conference call on Friday morning, which was a conference call to selected press. With DJI, many other companies, such as the chipmaker SMIC, have been added to the list as well. Now, as Hayu puts in his story, can you still buy DJI drones going forward? Yes, as we understand, you'll be able to buy DJI products going forward. The addition of DJI to the entity list means that US-based companies cannot export any tech to DJI without a special license from the Bureau of Industry and Security. And interestingly, those licenses are presumed to be denials, which is interesting. Now, it does depend on how China reacts to this. And it does, as I said before, it depends on how DJI reacts to this as to whether we'll see any actual impact on the retail side of things. I would expect there to be some, even if it's just supply chain issues. But I think we've got more news on this story coming. If that does happen, I will update with a very short video. Let's hop over to the chat and see what people are saying. So the Chinese should stop to produce the iPhone, and we'll see how they look. Yes, Josh, absolutely. Michael Blade, well, you better get your drone at Best Buy while they still have them. Well, yes, this might actually be one of those stories that helps those people that are thinking of purchasing a drone for under the Christmas tree to make that final decision. Doc Murdoch, Geeksvana, this sounds like it could also affect repair warranties for owners of DJI products as well. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that it depends on how you interpret this. And as you can see across the mass media, there are several different ways that people are taking this news. So it's going to be very interesting to see when we get the responses from DJI over this directly, because of course it impacts their business, but also how the Chinese government, etc., come back over this as well. And be more, DJI will just make their own stuff. All innovative stuff is coming from China. The US is trying to strangle better products. Intel's refusing to make chips for Apple. M1 chip was the result. Yes, indeed. I mean, this will, in the long term, result in probably a two-tier drone industry. Frankly, there'll be a Chinese drone industry that serves the rest of the world, and one that serves America. That may impact on the drones that Americans get to use. But again, as we say, we have to wait and see what kind of response this brings. Mason 101, hopefully it doesn't affect the apps, since Android and iOS are American, so let's hope they don't have it removed from the stores in other countries. Now, I know that was one of the major issues that Huawei had through this ban, the removal of those uses, because of course that is the use of American tech that is supplying access to American technology. I think there will be ways that DJI will be able to get around that in terms of how the app is downloaded. It would be very interesting to see from a legal standpoint, because of course the app goes onto your phone or your tablet, although it is of course an actual DJI product. So again, it's going to be interesting to see which way that one goes. Do you think this will affect the UK consumers, and in what way? Billy George Price Sprackland. Hello, sir. No, I don't. I don't think it's going to have any impact. Really, the UK and EU have gone a very different direction in terms of Chinese technology companies. There is still some hesitancy, there is still some nerves there, but nothing like what we've seen before. Fraser Steen, I think it might be agreeing with President Xi on this one. Seems a fairly naked attempt to give us companies a leg up. I can see that point, certainly. Peter Demestra, hi to you in Australia. Good to see you. We're being totally hammered by China regarding trade bans and tariffs, and yeah, it's happening an awful lot around the world. And this is, of course, part of a much bigger issue which is being seen worldwide in terms of trade relations. Which, again, being a drone channel, we won't drift too far into as such. So yeah, in summary, really, we are looking at a changing story. We're looking at an evolving story. I don't think, and this is where I think I will probably stand and leave things for the weekend as such. But I don't think we've seen necessarily the end of this, and I think that we will have more breaking news going both ways, if not over the weekend, certainly into next week. So that's going to be interesting. If IP is not shared, it will be stolen. Change agent. Yeah, no, I can understand that point as well. It is a difficult one. It is a difficult one, and it's whether or not, it's whether or not this has as much impact on Huawei as on DJI as it did on Huawei, who of course did lose an awful lot, because there is a wider context to this as well about being added to an entity list and being deemed to not be a trusted company and not to be a trusted entity, and that is of course the wider impact it has on the consumer. So the wider consumer that hears this, people thinking about getting into the hobby, non-droners that just want to buy a Mini to take on holiday with them and that type of thing. It will be interesting. US government adds DJI to Commerce Blacklist advertising. Yes, exactly. Above and beyond Drone Gym. Yes, exactly. That's exactly where we are. So yes, so that's really the update. Moving on from my stream earlier today, I wanted the one that stays up on the channel to be as accurate as I possibly can, as hopefully you've seen from the rest of my stories. So in summary, DJI are on the blacklist. They're on the entity list. Of course, there will be no ban on the drones that you fly. Of course, the drones that you own and that type of thing. The full implications of this, as far as whether it will impact retailers, I would say the trade media are probably 50-50 on whether they think there will actually be any hits to how you buy the drones, but you're still going to be able to buy them, certainly. How they're imported, etc., is also going to be interesting. So yes, so that's where we stand. If there's any other questions, just let me know in the chat. Bluegrass Drone Guy, there is a local person here where I live that has a Mavic 2 Pro Fly More kit for sale with proliferated fingers with a 36 minutes flight time, excellent condition for $13.50. We should go buy it then. That sounds very good. Excellent. Okay, well, thank you very much again for joining us on Geeksvana Live, and we will see you next time. Let's hear from Lib before we leave, shall we?
Did you know the most interesting people in the world subscribe to this channel? Coincidence, obviously.
Coincidence. Okay, and just a final reminder as well, I did push this in the live stream earlier a couple of times, so sorry for talking about it again, but thank you very much for all your support in helping us hit the 5,000 subscribers, the 5k mark. If you visit our community tab, you will see there is a limited edition Geeksvana t-shirt being produced. There's only 50 of them available. They're selling well. They're selling through very quickly at the moment, numbered 5k01 to 5k50 on the side of the shirt, which looks very cool. And yeah, they're absolutely limited stock. And there's also for the channel members, there's also a special blue color shirt as well, which is only available to channel members, which again, you'll find out how to buy those on the community tab, but you can go to geeksvana.com/merch. Okay, people, see you soon. Thanks.